Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
From the very moment the morning sun cracked through the cloud-choked horizon over Port Charles, something in the air felt different, thicker, heavier, vibrating with the spiritual weight of a baptism and the simmering fury of a man ready to unleash consequences that had been delayed for far too long. Sonny Corinthos, the man who once prided himself on loyalty, balance, and selective mercy, felt an inner shift that could only be described as a cleansing flame, a fierce washing away of patience, a purification that mirrored the solemn beginnings of a baptismal ceremony. This wasn't just another day. This was the day he made his move. His ruthless move. And the unfortunate soul standing on the tracks awaiting the unstoppable collision was none other than Mr. Sidwell, the slippery financier who had been quietly playing a game of shadows, blackmail, betrayal, and secrets that threatened to pierce the heart of Sonny's empire and the fragile peace of Port Charles. But Sonny wasn't entering this war blindly or in rage alone. No, today he carried both the calm benediction of a spiritual rebirth and the sharp-edged venom of a man pushed to his final limit. The baptism of resolve had begun inside him long before the public consequences reached the streets. And as much as he embraced the violence necessary to protect the ones he loved, he also held close the encouraging belief that purging corruption, even through force, was sometimes the only way to save a community. But with encouragement came warnings. And with warnings came threats. And with threats came the fiery promise that Sonny Corinthos would not be fooled again. Sidwell had used his money as a weapon. He had used his influence as leverage. He had toyed with forces that did not forgive easily. He weaponized secrets about the people Sonny cared for, secrets he never should have touched. And Sonny, like a priest preparing for baptism, whispered one last encouraging offer towards Sidwell through intermediaries. Repent. Step back. Walk away. Cleanse yourself before it's too late. But Sidwell ignored every warning, brushing aside the olive branch with arrogance dripping from his voice. And so Sonny moved with purpose. The baptism of fire began. Fire Sonny's inner baptism, the calm before the horror fire. Throughout the morning, Sonny walked through his private corridors with an unsettling calmness that unnerved those closest to him. Dante noticed at first, watching his father's serene expression as he poured a coffee with the tranquility of a man about to deliver a sermon, not a threat. Even Brick sensed the atmospheric shift. Sonny's footsteps were too measured, too controlled. His silence carried an unspoken promise. This wasn't anger. This was judgment. Inside Sonny's mind, his thoughts rolled like thunder behind stained glass windows. He reflected on all the moments he had forgiven Sidwell's smaller infractions, the shady deals at the docks, the silent acquisitions of properties tied to Sonny's businesses, the quiet partnership Sidwell formed with Brutus Malva, an enemy who wanted Sonny's empire shattered. There had been warning signs, but Sonny believed in second chances, in gentle interventions, in offering a word of encouragement before the hammer fell. But Sidwell? Sidwell spat on the gift. Sonny's inner baptism, the cleansing of doubt, was complete. And when a man like Sonny purifies his intentions, the world around him trembles. Fire encouraging words before the storm fire. Before striking, Sonny gathered those closest to him, Ava, Dante, Brick, and even a reluctant Carly, who had sensed something brewing. He didn't reveal his entire plan, but he spoke with a strange mixture of calm reassurance and looming intensity. We rise by lifting each other, Sonny said quietly, setting down his coffee cup. But when someone tries to drag us down, when someone poisons what we've built, then we purify the threat. We clean it out. We protect our own. Ava, folding her arms, tilted her head. Sonny, what are you planning? He met her eyes with the stillness of a baptismal priest and the underlying fury of a man betrayed. No matter what happens next, Sonny murmured, know this, I'm doing what I have to do. For the people I care about. For this town. For us. Then he added, with a gentle but chilling tone. Stay strong. Stay centered. And trust me. These were encouraging words on the surface, but beneath them swam darker currents. They were both a blessing and a warning, a soft push and a sharp reminder that Sonny was about to step into a storm none of them could stop. Fire! The angry threats begin. Sonny's message to Sidwell: fire. Sidwell sat in his downtown office, believing he had the upper hand. He thought he had cornered Sonny with financial leverage and insider information. But arrogance is the greatest enemy of survival. The first warning came not in the form of bullets, but in the form of a message, calm, clean, and terrifying. Brick delivered it personally. Sonny's words were simple. You've crossed a line you can't uncross. You still have time to make things right. But if you keep going, I will wash you away. Sidwell laughed. Is that supposed to scare me? Brick didn't blink. It's not a threat. It's a prophecy. And that's when Sidwell should have run. But he didn't. Because the horror had only just begun. Fire! The horror unfolds. Sonny's ruthless move: fire. As the city lights flickered awake in the early evening, Sonny stood overlooking the water near Pier 47, a place where many decisions had been made in silence. He wasn't alone. Jason appeared beside him, a silent sentinel returning to the shadows to steady the man who once saved him countless times. You ready? Jason asked. Sonny exhaled slowly. More than ready. Jason didn't need details. He saw the baptismal calm in Sonny's eyes. The cleansing had already occurred inside him. Now came the outward expression, the external reckoning. Sonny had discovered Sidwell's hidden accounts. He had uncovered the offshore shell companies Sidwell used to funnel money into organizations planning to overthrow him. He had traced the blackmail attempts against Laura and the encrypted files meant to corner Sonny into a legal nightmare. All the pieces were on the board. And Sonny, the master tactician, removed the queen from play. With a few swift moves, Sonny froze every account Sidwell owned, both public and secret. He locked down access to the properties Sidwell purchased. He sent word through international channels Sonny rarely activated unless the stakes were apocalyptic. In 1 hour, Sidwell lost everything. But Sonny wasn't finished. He sent a second message now, not a warning, not advice, but a razor-edged proclamation. You want a war? You just baptized yourself in one. Fire! Sidwell panics. Too little, too late. Fire. When Sidwell realized his assets were gone, his face drained of color. This wasn't a setback, this was total annihilation. Sonny had erased his foundation, carved out the roots of his financial empire, and left him standing on crumbling earth. In desperation, Sidwell tried to flee the city, but Jason intercepted him at an abandoned rest stop outside Port Charles. Jason didn't touch him, he didn't need to. His mere presence was enough. Sonny wants a word, Jason said quietly. I'm not meeting him, Sidwell stammered. Tell him I'll negotiate. I'll return everything. I'll disappear. Just don't let him destroy me. Jason didn't blink. Sonny doesn't negotiate with betrayal. And the horror finally struck Sidwell. Sonny Corinthos was no longer playing games. He wasn't issuing warnings. He wasn't offering compromise. He had become the consequence. Fire! The final confrontation, the baptism of fear. Fire. Near the riverbank, Sonny waited. The moon's reflection danced across the water like shards of broken glass. Sidwell was forced forward by Jason, trembling, sweating, trying to swallow the panic rising in his throat. Sonny, please, Sidwell whispered. We can work this out. I made mistakes. I was stupid. I overplayed my hand. Sonny stepped forward slowly, calm, deliberate. You know what a baptism is, Sidwell? He asked softly. It's a cleansing. A rebirth. A chance to wash away the things that poison you. Sidwell blinked rapidly. I don't understand. But you don't want cleansing, Sonny continued. You want power. You want chaos. You want to harm good people. That's not something I can let stand. Sidwell took a shaky step backward. Please. I'm begging you. Sonny's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You tried to destroy my family. You tried to blackmail Laura. You tried to rip apart this town. His eyes hardened. You baptized yourself in the wrong river. Sidwell collapsed to his knees. Don't kill me, Sonny. Sonny leaned in, his voice almost a whisper. I don't need to kill you. I just need to remove your ability to hurt anyone again. With a simple nod from Sonny, Jason handed Sonny a file, a thick binder containing every ounce of information Sidwell wanted to use against Port Charles. Sonny dropped it at Sidwell's feet. It's over, Sonny said. Your power. Your leverage. Your empire. Everything. Gone. Sidwell sobbed as Sonny continued. You will leave this city. And if you ever think about coming back, remember this moment. Remember that I gave you a choice. And you chose wrong. Then Sonny added, with a chilling softness. And believe me, if you push me again, you won't get a second baptism. Fire aftermath, Sonny returns to peace, for now fire. Back at his penthouse, Sonny felt the weight in his chest lift. Brick greeted him with a nod. Ava watched with thinly veiled awe. Carly stared at him with a mixture of concern and reluctant admiration. You ended Sidwell? Carly asked gently. I ended the threat, Sonny replied. He baptized himself in arrogance. I just showed him the consequences. Ava smirked. You're terrifying when you're calm. Sonny exhaled. I'm done letting people take advantage. I'm done letting snakes coil in our shadows. Port Charles deserves peace. And I'll give it to them. But understand, Sonny added, almost to himself, peace comes at a price. And I'm willing to pay it. Fire final note, the horror isn't over fire. Even though Sidwell fled, even though Sonny delivered his wrath with surgical precision, the streets whispered with tension. Sidwell had allies, dangerous ones. And Sonny had ignited a war that would spill over in waves. But Sonny wasn't afraid. He had already been baptized in fire. And now, he was unstoppable. Carly Spencer offered a chalet den to Valentine Cassadine. Jocelyn Jacks also set up a first aid tackle indication, so then's how Monday's occasion played out. In Jack Brennan's office, Jocelyn set up out Valentine had escaped and stressed for her mama's safety, so she claimed on watching over Carly herself. At the police station, Nathan West told Dante Falconeri about Valentine's flight, so Dante transferred Nathan to Lulu Spencer's house to look after Charlotte Cassadine. Dante also had Alexis Davis brought down to the PCPD for questioning, so Brennan popped up to quiz her, too. Alexis was adamant that she knew nothing, but Brennan refocused out that she was in charge of the Cassadine Trust and that Valentine might need plutocrat. Although Brennan suggested about digging into the conditioning of that trust, Dante didn't suppose that was necessary. Alexis was adamant that she would help Valentine if he came to her and pledged to let the police know if he reached out. In the Quartermaine kitchen, Harrison Chase's lovey-dovey scene with Brooke Lynn Quartermaine was intruded when he got called down to the PCPD because of the Valentine hunt. After Chase took off, Brooke Lynn eventually set up Ned sneaking pizza from the fridge, so she allowed him one slice despite enterprises about his heart. Ned and Brooke Lynn wound up talking about Valentine, so Brooke Lynn raised remorse for making Ned believe Bailey Lou Jones was his grandchild. Ned didn't hold that against Brooke Lynn, especially now that she'd given him an awful grandson like Giovanni Gio Palmieri. At Windmere, Marco Rios had a romantic setup staying for Lucas Jones when he appeared after a long shift at GH. Pascal intruded and sounded suspicious of Lucas, but he agreed to get Lucas and Marco some sandwiches. Over regale, Lucas griped to Marco about Carly apologizing without actually apologizing. The croaker. Didn't suppose it was fair for Carly to judge Marco because of his connection to Jen Sidwell. Chase ultimately arrived with backup and a request to search the domain since the Bobbies allowed. Valentine might try to hide out on the property. Pascal jounced to Marco, who cooperated with the police rather of staying for them to get a leave. Marco went up to bed with Lucas, who confessed that he'd originally allowed. The Bobbies were there for Sidwell and that Carly would be proven right. Still, Lucas assured Marco of his trust and claimed he wasn't having any alternate studies. A little latterly, Lucas woke up in bed alone while Marco reconvened with Pascal. Marco got evidence that the police didn't find anything on the domain, and that went for any substantiation of Sidwell's shady conditioning, too. This news left Marco relieved since he stressed he'd lose Lucas for good if he got updates on Sidwell's conduct and the extent that Marco was involved in them. After Dante telephoned Lulu with information on Valentine's escape, she flipped out. Since Charlotte and Rocco Falconeri were outdoors on the veranda, Lulu ordered them to get outside right down. Lulu also pushed Charlotte to promise she wouldn't run off with Valentine. Charlotte wondered if Lulu wanted her to say what her mama wanted to hear or be honest. When Lulu chose honesty, Charlotte admitted she couldn't promise she'd stick around if Valentine came for her. Nathan showed up soon after and took Charlotte's phone in case Valentine tried to communicate her, but she advised he wouldn't try to reach her that way. Lulu reluctantly let Charlotte get some air with Rocco on the veranda since Nathan claimed law enforcement had girdled the house. At Carly's place, she heard the story of Valentine's escape and gave him a first aid tackle. Carly wanted Valentine to leave as soon as he swathed himself, but Valentine pushed her to hide him rather. After some bickering about Carly and Valentine's cooperation against Brennan, Jocelyn entered the frontal door and called out to Carly. Valentine hid outside while Carly played it cool with Jocelyn. Jocelyn set up the first aid tackle put away behind a pillow on the lounge, but Carly claimed that she'd been Donna Corinthos' fake case when they were playing croaker. After Jocelyn went up to bed, Carly slipped outdoors and gave Valentine the key to her chalet. Valentine lumbered since it was indurating outdoors, but Carly made it clear that was the stylish she could do. General Hospital spoilers and updates indicate that Anna Devane is set to make her return as the coming chapter of her prison riddle unfolds. This hostage will really bear an escape plan, so let's cave into what lies ahead for Anna during the week of December 8th to 12th. Anna was ambuscaded and chloroformed in her auto. Waking up to terror, suckers of GH will flash back that Anna was ambuscaded in her vehicle and rendered unconscious with chloroform by a black-gloved man in her aft seat. Shortly later, she set up herself bound and trapped in an unknown position, where she could hear the unmistakable voice of Caesar Faison coming through a speaker. Although she was informed that she was being taken to a brand new life, the reality of her situation felt far from a new morning. She woke up to terror hail Faison's voice, and confined to a small, teary room with no apparent means of escape. Still, Anna isn't the type to simply abdicate herself to her circumstances. Observers will see Anna with a pencil and notepad. Obviously footloose observers will observe Anna holding a pencil and tablet, conceivably jotting down suggestions or propositions as she brainstorms. She's freed from her bonds and in a different room. Alternatively, there might be someone responsible for Anna's care whom she can befriend and manipulate. At some point, Anna could write a communication in expedience of getting it delivered back to her favored bones. Anyhow of the situation, Anna will maintain her countenance and work on uncovering the verity behind her circumstances. We'll witness Anna reflecting on her situation and considering who might be orchestrating it, potentially bringing suckers closer to unraveling the riddle as well. Anna will consider Jason's suggestion that someone is gaslighting her since Faison's voice was heard shortly after Anna's hijacking. She might recall Jason Morgan's suggestion about gaslighting, and may suspect that someone is trying to move her that Faison's alive. This could be done using AI to replicate his voice, or some other system. Many times back Sam McCall used a voice replication program. Still, Anna is wise enough not to fully dismiss the possibility of a Faison return. There will be important for Anna to consider, but she'll have ample time to do so as her forced prison continues. She could profit from an escape route or a deliverer. But, she may find herself feeling frustrated and confined for a while longer, because they suppose she's engaged in a largely classified WSB charge.